Random spawns are scaled. Stronger enemies appear at higher levels. That's good. But weak enemies aren't written out of the system, just become less common. A single spawn at lower levels can have enemies spawning in pairs at higher levels. Stronger enemies exist in the world, so I'm guessing these don't scale up with you in this game. That's good, because in Oblivion the enemies actually scaled up with you, which was, some people liked it, some people didn't like it. Most people didn't like it, I don't think, because it was like you never had that feeling that you were totally overpowering people, so it kind of defeated the purpose of leveling up. But as you leveled up, obviously sometimes if you're doing the quest in sort of order, you'd get better armor. So if you're doing the main quest last, you'd get the best armor. Or obviously the expansion packs had better armor, like Knights of the Nine and all that. Stronger enemies exist in the world at the start of the game, but you're usually given enough of a warning if you don't want to fight anything too strong. That's good. So you don't get squashed by like a big badass thing if you don't want to engage it. You can mount horses, which are more detailed than ever before. Yeah, we saw that in the trailer or the gameplay footage. Some insects can be killed. One example is the bee. Awesome. Now that's one of the little details that I like. But hopefully, I pray they have birds, because birds would be awesome. Birds, I don't know why, I just love birds in a game. It just adds more realism. I mean, if you have insects, what feeds on the insects? Birds. You need to have birds, so hopefully, I pray they have birds in the game. I didn't see any in the gameplay footage as far as I could see, so I just hope they do. But obviously sometimes it can be too much information, but the way The Witcher did it was pretty good. I mean, it was just like the birds flocked to one spot and then flew off if you came too close, and you could actually shoot them from a distance and kill them, which was nice. So it couldn't be that much information to do something like that for the game. Dragons. For more detailed information on dragons, yeah. Dragons respawn just like other creatures. So in this game we actually have respawns. That's interesting. So like, I don't know if I like that or not, because then if you cleared out a cave or something, it would be cleared and then you could just go back. If you didn't have enough space in your inventory, you could go back. You could leave it, go to a shop, sell your stuff and go back, that it was cleared out. You knew it was cleared out, so you could just go back and dander about and have a look and get all the rest of the loot. But now if there's respawns, you're going to have to go back and fight through that whole cavern again. That's going to be, I don't really like that, because I like having the feeling of like you've defeated this area, you've vanquished all the zombies out of this area, you've cleaned up this area. So respawns, I'm not sure if I like that, because that means just constant enemies. But I suppose The Witcher 2 did it pretty well. I mean, you had harpies respawning, you had every sort of thing respawning, but it was a pretty good timer it had on it. So it never felt like you were getting overwhelmed if you'd already defeated an area. Like if you'd already been to an area, a lot less things would respawn, I think, especially if you'd planted bombs in the harpy nests. Like the harpies wouldn't come back as much. Oh dear. There are different kinds of dragons. You cannot mount and fly dragons. That's a pity. Now that's what I was talking about. I wanted to see some dragon mounts, but I suppose it makes sense that you can't mount them, because in reality, if you were dealing with dragons, you wouldn't want to mount one really, because they're big, scaly, fire-breathing, demon-like things. So yeah, that wouldn't really make sense to mount them. Even though we've seen it in fantasy novels, even though we've seen it in certain movies, even though we've seen it in World of Warcraft. Some dragons are scripted, while others appear randomly. Dragons can pick people up from the ground. Yeah, we saw that in the gameplay footage. It picked the giant up and dropped it. The only thing I didn't like was the way that the thing was dropped. It didn't really spin or do a barrel roll or anything. It didn't tumble to the floors as if it was dead. It just fell straight down with his legs straight. Maybe that's realistic, maybe it's not. It's hard to say, but I just didn't like the way it looked. It looked a bit stiff. That's what it looked. It looked a bit stiff, and it should have been more ragdolly. When dragons are critically injured, they can't fly and will land or crash to the ground. That's good. So if they're critically injured, which is obviously when you engage them with an arrow, or you shoot them in the heart or something, and then they'll come down and fight you on the ground. Dragons leave scars and marks everywhere. When they crash or land on the ground, and when they breathe fire upon the environment. That's cool. So it's like, is it going to be like in Red Faction you had the destructible environments? Because I would like to see that in an Elder Scrolls game. Destructible environments and terrains that actually got affected by battles. So you'd see like a big crater in the ground where the dragon landed, or where it breathed fire. But I suppose it probably won't be that in depth, because I mean, in Elder Scrolls we've never seen it before, so I doubt they would introduce something that drastic into the game. Although there are drastic things being introduced into the game. So here we go. Plot and lore. The Elder Scrolls V takes place 2 centuries after Oblivion. Wow, that's 200 years after Oblivion. That is amazing. So it's actually kind of going into the future, 200 years, but it's still past. That's quite interesting. The King of Skyrim is dead, which has sparked a civil war. You're the last Dragonborn, a group characterized by their ability to hunt dragons. And here we go. Every single Elder Scrolls games starts in a prison. Daggerfall, you started off in a dungeon inside a prison cell. In Morrowind, you started off as a prisoner on a barge coming to Morrowind. And in Oblivion, you started off obviously in the dungeons in the prison, Imperial City prison. And you were released by the Emperor just before he died. And in this one, you are also a prisoner. It doesn't say what you're in prison for or where you are in prison. It just says you are a prisoner, so not much information on that. The Septim line was a prominent Dragonborn line protected by the Dragon Guards, which eventually became the Blades. I thought this was 200 years after Oblivion. After the death of Septim line, the Blades were hunted down and killed one by one. Oh, we see. And now are almost completely gone, so the Blades are almost completely gone. The return of the dragons was foretold in the Elder Scrolls and was ushered in by the destruction of the Staff of Chaos, the creation of Numidium, and the events at Red Mountain and the Oblivion Crisis. Red Mountain was Morrowind and Oblivion Crisis. There is a blade you come across named Esbern, voiced by Max von Sydow, that will train you and guide you through the game. So he's kind of like your guide, your trainer. That's cool. The last event to unfold before the dragon's return was the people of Skyrim turning against each other, which is happening at the very beginning of the game. So they're turning against each other. It's a tumultuous time. Dragons start to appear in greater and greater numbers as the game goes on. So obviously you won't see many dragons at the start because you can't really fight them because you're not powerful enough. But as you level up, as you get further into the game, more dragons start to appear. That's good. It's good sort of staggered step up. You know, step up. Greater numbers as the game goes on, and eventually culminate with Alduin possibly coming into the world. Is that like the big badass boss? That's cool. So that's obviously the main quest. The finishing of the main quest is fighting Alduin, I guess. 1st century, 4 EO, end of the Oblivion Crisis. The banishing of Mehrunes Dagon from the Tamriel by the champion of Cyrodiil, Morton Septim, and the avatar of Akatosh ends the Oblivion Crisis. The Septim bloodline ends and the Emerald of Kings is destroyed. 3rd era begins, marking the beginning of the 4th. Oh, the 3rd era ends, so this is the beginning of the 4th. No, the 4th era begins with no emperor on the throne of Tamriel. High Chancellor Akato, the Elder Council and the Blades try to maintain order. The provinces start to take advantage of the Empire's weakened state. 4E what Red Mountain erupts. Vardenfall is destroyed. Wasn't that the... I'm pretty sure that was Morrowind. In Vivek's absence, the Ministry of Truth becomes unstable. Vahun creates an engine that uses at first dozens of dying souls, then a small number of living ones to stabilize the rock. The soul of Sol's wife, Eisheaven, was among them, and in fight to free her, the NGM is destroyed and the rock crashes into Vivek with all the energy it originally had. The impact causes Red Mountain to erupt and destroys the entire island of Vardenfall, as well as causing a massive destruction to the rest of the province. 4E what the Emperor collapses. Black Marsh succeeds from the Emperor. It is soon followed by Elsewhere. The Thalmor seized control of Old Aldemary Dominion, Philemwood, and the Somerset Isle. The Argonians invade and conquer Morrowind after the eruption of Red Mountain. So the Argonians took over Morrowind. 4E what Titus Mead is crowned Titus Mead is crowned the new emperor by conquest. 4E18 Prince Atrebus Mead is born. 4E23 Aneg Hornet is born. 4E4S the Infernal City. Umbrel is a floating city, appears on the coast of the Black Marsh heading towards Morrowind. The city of Lilmoth, Black Marsh, the home of Aneg, is destroyed by in the process. 3rd century. 4E200S the High King of Skyrim dies. 4E200S the Nords of Skyrim engage in a civil war. I guess this is where Skyrim comes into it. Graphics, sound and interface. Graphics. Havoc Behavior is a flexible animation tool that allows the developers to rapidly prototype and preview new animations and blend them together seamlessly with a few mouse clicks and minimal code support. So that sounds kind of mod friendly, doesn't it? Very mod friendly. Bethesda is using it to create more nuance in characters and create movement, govern special effects, and even control how characters struggle to move when trapped in environmental hazards like spider webs. Characters now transition more realistically between walking, jogging and running, and the increased nuance between animations has allowed Bethesda to better balance the combat in both first and third person perspective. So both first and third person, that's good. By adjusting the timing values for swings and blocks depending on your perspective. Perhaps the most impressive use of behavior technology is how Bethesda is using it to create the dragon animations. Bethesda has worked meticulously to make sure the beasts look powerful and menacing when banking, flapping their wings, gaining altitude, before making another strafing run and breathing fire on their hapless victims. None of the dragon's actions are scripted. That's cool. So it's going to be like live, reacting to your movement, reacting to where you are, reacting to what you're doing. And behavior helps make the movement look non-mechanical, even when the dragons are speaking, shouting. So that's very, very good. They react to their whole environment, everything that's going on around them, every single little detail is taken into account. That is very good. So they won't be like spazzing out on their little path. So they'll be going on their own very smooth path. Just that'll be very interesting to see it actually work. I mean, on paper it sounds good, but how it works is going to be very interesting to see. I mean, we saw it somewhat in the gameplay footage. Wind will whip up the surface of bodies of water. That's cool. So we'll get like waves and stuff. Very, very good. First time we'll actually see proper waves probably, and could even see proper, maybe even tidal waves. Who knows? That would be quite interesting. Like if there's a storm, you could see like a very massive wave coming towards you and you get swept up by it. I doubt that'll happen, like, but it's always a possibility. Dynamic shadows. Snow falls dynamically, painting the ground texture with snow. Believable water physics, so it'll be like real alive waters, which was a mod for Oblivion. I mean, the Oblivion water was pretty much terrible. When you were swimming in it, you couldn't see anything. It was just like blue, black, blank. So we'll actually get proper water physics, but water physics means the way the water moves, I suppose. So it's like obviously under the water you'll be able to see. I'd assume so. I mean, it would make sense with the amount of detail they put into everything else. Yeah, I'd guess so. Faces and models are improved. Yes, they are improved a lot. I mean, Oblivion faces were not good. They weren't good They weren't expressive, they weren't real